Afternoon, guys. Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School again. Wanted to go over another trap with you today. Yesterday I posted a trap on the Promontory peg trigger system, and that trap is fairly effective for small game. On a bigger scale with better materials, it can be used, up to medium-sized game. I'm told that trap was used for things like wolverine and wolf at one time in the far north by the Inuits and things like that. So it can be a very effective trap. Again, I don't recommend traps to be used a lot that are complicated to build, take specialized materials, or take a lot of notching and carving. And one thing I was thinking about when I was building that trap yesterday, that Promontory peg trigger system is very similar to the trigger system that I've seen used on several different bird traps. And I got to thinking last night, and I thought that I would put together a trap for you. I want to show you that Promontory trigger was generally used for deadfall type traps in its originality, from what I understand from talking to some people who are very familiar with that trigger system. But the breakaway trigger system that's very similar to the Promontory peg was used quite often in bird traps and things like that. So I wanted to kind of combine that today and show you how to make a deadfall bird trap using very simple materials that's very easy to make. It works right along with the Pathfinder system as far as simplicity of traps and easy setup. I'm not too much of a deadfall trap kind of guy, to be honest with you, because most of the trigger systems are either complicated, like the figure 4, or they're tricky to set, even in the case of a Paiute deadfall. Well, this trap that I've been messing with this morning is pretty easy to set. I think it would be very effective on birds, and I want to show it to you right now. So stay with me, guys. Okay, guys, basically what I have right here is I have all the components that we need for this bird style deadfall trap. What I have here is I have a single strand of bank line. I've taken a large heavy duty gauge of bank line. It's all 3-ply, and I've stripped it down so that I have 1 ply of that bank line, which gives me a very thin line like I would use for fishing or something like that. And I've tied just an overhand loop in both ends of that line. Then I've got 1 straight stick. Any stick will do, it doesn't matter. And then I have 1 stick that I've made into a trigger stick, and all I did to do that was I cut it with my saw right here halfway down, and on the opposite side a little ways up halfway down, and then I held it and split it, very similar to the way you would make a Promontory peg. And I'm going to use the short side of this stick on the bottom and the upper part on the top, and this will support my deadfall device. And the trip system, or the trigger system for this, will be this thin line, and I'm going to show you how that works right now. So in the case of a bird, the easy way to make an Acapulco bird trap that we've shown before is to build a cage, set it up, you have trip wires on the inside of that cage, and then you set some bird seed in between that trip wire so that when the bird comes in, he trips your trip wire. We can do that with a deadfall trap very easy. And the way I do that is I just take these 2 ends of this line that I put loops in, and I put my stick through those loops, very simple, just like this. Then I take my deadfall rock device. In this case, I've got a pretty good size rock here. I'll lay my stick on the ground right here, and I'll put my deadfall device on that stick so that the stick is pinched behind the deadfall and my trigger wires are inside, just like this. Okay? At that point, what I need to do is, I'm going to put my head on this deadfall for the moment. At that point, I need to take the shorter half of my trigger and put it on the bottom of the deadfall right here, because that's what's going to pull away to set my trap off. Okay, so once I've got this, move this neck knife out of the way for a minute. Once I've got this pulled tight like this, I just need to wrap around the lines until I get it the length that I want it, and it's tight underneath my deadfall. So that my deadfall sits on top of it. I can stretch it out. I take the other half of my trigger and set it on there just like this. Pull it back and lean it slightly toward the deadfall, just like this. And I want those trip wires. You can see how easy that was to set up. It was nothing. Let me get you a better view of that. Okay, so once we have our trap set, we have our V lines underneath. We would put our bird seed in between those V's. And you can see our stick on the back side with the lines running underneath the deadfall device, and our breakaway Promontory type peg trigger right here. So the way this would work is Your animal, or your bird, in this case we're hoping for, would come in, hop the line, and when he hopped the line, he would be crushed by the trap. So again, here we go, a little further away angle. Pretty simple trap to set. See if I can set this camera down, get a good angle for you here. Animal comes in, boom, dead bird, or small mammal in that case as well.